Yeah, I do too, I guess. We have, in the senior citizens, we've got a president. She knows how to twist your arm until you decide to, I volunteer. That's why I'm here. You know, as I was growing up, Decoration Day was an important day. A lot of us don't know what Decoration Day really means. They changed the name of it. But what was so important about it for us is that it was celebrated on May 30th, was my grandmother's birthday. So we knew as a family that we were going to be going to Grandma's house. We'd see a decorated cake, we'd see decorated presents, we'd see decorated cookies. Decoration Day. I learned a little bit farther on than that Decoration Day was designed and planned to honor the Civil War veterans, the Civil War dead that they started. Is it going to work? Yeah, we're all right. Yeah. But they started out in Waterloo. Actually, the first actual speech regarding Decoration Day and celebrating it was May 30th of 1868. The speaker happened to be General James Garfield, who spoke at the Arlington National Cemetery. In 1968, President Lyndon Johnson declared Waterloo as the beginning, the birthplace, even though there are a lot of other places around the country that said, no, we were first, no, we were first. But President Johnson said, no, Waterloo did it, mainly because they had planned it to the point to where stores closed. Think about that. Stores closed, no specials. Didn't have to go out and plan on spending money that day. Stores closed, people got out and remembered those that had died. And then along in about 1971, Congress came up with the idea, let's have 3-day weekends. Well, how do we do that? We got to make some changes. So Memorial Day was initiated in 1971. It was going to be the last Monday of the month. Regardless of the date, the last Monday of the month becomes Memorial Day. And it would be in remembrance of every war. Now, every war, you stop and think about it, we have a lot of people, a lot of servicemen, men and women, who we're celebrating today. Give you an idea, Revolutionary War, 4,435. The War of 1812, 2,260. The Mexican War, 13,283. The Civil War, the Union alone, 646,000. The Confederate, 133,000. Spanish-American War, 2,446. World War I, the war to end all wars, the Great War, 116,708. World War II, 407,000. Korea, 36,000. Vietnam, 58,000. And so far in Iraq, over 4,000. There's a lot of things to remember out there. A lot of us have been affected by it. I lost a lot of friends in both World War II and Korea. I remember a lot of them very clearly. It really is an honor to be just to be asked to come up here and do it. Not only do it, but just to be asked. I appreciate the fact that we had a chance to do that. For they give us the freedom to be here today without worrying about it. Would be showing up, the police, the troops, and arrest you because you're in public out here doing something you aren't supposed to be doing. Freedom to vote. Think about it. And yet when voting time comes along, a little over half of us actually go vote. Where's the rest of us? You can't complain if you don't vote. I had a friend of mine who told me, he says, you know, I don't vote for the main reason is that if the guy's a jerk and he doesn't do a good job, I can say, I didn't vote for him. If he does a good job, I can say, I didn't vote against him. I looked at him and I said, you know, that's an idiot's attitude. You don't have a right to complain either way. It doesn't make any difference. A week later he called me and he says, I've registered. I'm going to vote now.
Yeah.
So we're losing a lot if you don't get out and vote. You can't complain. Nothing to complain about. You know, as an individual, I'm proud to have served for my country. I'd like to have dressed in uniform. But my first wife was suffering from Alzheimer's. And about 1986, she decided that I was off at work. She decided it was time to get rid of all of the stuff, military stuff. She would teach the Army for calling me back into the Korean War. Well, that's 40 years after it happened. She took it all and she put it into our burn barrel and she burned it. The uniform, the medals, the recommendations and everything else that we had. I got home and there it was burning. And I looked at her, she says, I'm teaching the Army for what they did to you. They'll never do it again. Now, yeah, I was upset. But if you know anything about Alzheimer's, and I learned a lot, because she had it for about 15 years. I just put my arms around her, gave her a hug, said, you're right, they'll never bother me again. I was over 60 years old, I knew they'd be calling me back. And the uniform, hey, it wouldn't have fit me anyway. The medals, well, I still had to pay $1.50 for coffee anyway, didn't make any difference. Now a little story, I'm going to close. Today, in Texas, down at Fort Worth, the home of the 1st Cavalry Unit, a young man's going to be honored. His name, Caleb Christopher. Now why do I bring it up? You don't know him. You might know his grandmother, because she lives down the street here. Sulla Simons. He gave it all last June. And one of the things about it is that when they brought him back into Arizona, the governor closed one highway, the major highway, so the caravan and procedure of the police, the escort vehicles could get through all right. When they got to the street that he lived on, the Boy Scouts had put flags along the road on both sides, probably every 10 feet. I've got a picture of it. The flags were not flying like they are now, they're unfurled. When that hearse turned the corner, wind came up. And as that hearse went by, every flag straight out like that one over there, saluting a fallen comrade. We've got a lot of them. And that's why we're here today. And it's a pleasure, and I thank you very much for just the offer of being here.